The research ship Aurora drifted through the dark void of space, its hull gleaming under the distant light of foreign stars. Dr. Lisa Carter pressed her face against the observation window, watching the massive derelict vessel grow larger as they approached. The ship looked wrong somehow, like a ghost from humanity's bloodiest chapter. "There she is," Captain Ryan Hughes said from behind her. "The Defiant. Been missing for 50 years. Lisa turned to face him. The report said she was destroyed during the hegemony raids. How is she still intact? That's what we're here to find out. Ryan's weathered face showed the strain of too many battles fought and too many friends lost. Your team ready to board? Lisa nodded. She had been studying the wreckage of human ships for 3 years, trying to understand how the alien coalition called the hegemony had gained such a crushing advantage over Earth's forces. Every piece of salvage told the same story. Humanity was losing this war badly. The boarding shuttle carried Lisa and 3 other researchers across the gap between ships. The Defiant's hull showed signs of battle damage, but nothing that should have killed everyone aboard. As they docked with the airlock, Lisa felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. "Atmosphere is breathable," announced Lieutenant Sam Davis, the security officer assigned to protect the research team. "Life support systems are still running on emergency power." They entered the ship through corridors that should have been filled with crew members. Instead, they found empty halls and abandoned workstations. Personal belongings sat exactly where they had been left decades ago. A half-finished meal sat on a table in the mess hall, now dried to dust. "This is creepy," muttered Dr. Pete Wilson, the team's engineer. "Where did everyone go?" Lisa ran her scanner along the walls, searching for clues. "Energy readings are coming from the medical bay. Something down there is still active." They made their way through the ship's maze of passages. The Defiant was an older military vessel, built for fighting rather than comfort. Weapon ports lined the corridors, and blast doors could seal off sections if the ship was boarded. But none of these defenses had been used. The medical bay doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, they found the source of the energy readings. A single cryopod, still humming with power after 5 decades. Green lights blinked steadily on its control panel, and frost covered the viewing window. "Someone's inside," Lisa whispered. Sam raised his weapon. This could be a trap. The hegemony is known for leaving surprises. Lisa approached the pod carefully and wiped away the frost from the window. Inside lay a man in his 30s, dressed in the dark blue uniform of Earth's Special Forces. His face was peaceful, as if he were simply sleeping. A name tag on his chest read Morrison. Jake Morrison, Lisa read aloud. According to the ship's records, he was killed in Action 50. Years ago, during a classified mission? "Well, he doesn't look very dead to me," Pete said, checking the pod's systems. "This thing has been trying to wake him up for decades. Look at these readings. The revival cycle has started and stopped hundreds of times." Lisa studied the data streaming across the pod's display. Its body keeps rejecting the wake-up sequence. It's like something is forcing him to stay asleep. "Should we try to wake him?" Sam asked. "The pod's medical systems show he's healthy. More than healthy, actually. His vital signs are off the charts, but in a good way." Lisa made her decision. Initialize the revival sequence. Let's see what Jake Morrison has to tell us. The pod began its wake-up cycle. Warm air flowed around the sleeping man as his body temperature slowly rose. His breathing deepened, and color returned to his pale skin. After 20 minutes, Jake Morrison's eyes opened. He sat up quickly, faster than any normal person should have been able to move. His eyes darted around the medical bay, taking in everything at once. When he spoke, his voice was hoarse from decades of disuse. "Where am I? How long was I out?" "You're aboard the Defiant," Lisa said gently. "You've been in cryo sleep for 50 years. Jake's face went white. 50 years? That's impossible. I was supposed to be out for a few days at most." He looked at his hands, flexing his fingers as if they didn't belong to him. "Something's wrong. I feel different." Lisa helped him stand. Jake moved with fluid grace, like a predator testing its muscles. His body temperature was several degrees higher than normal, and his reflexes seemed incredibly fast. "What do you remember about your last mission?" she asked. Jake closed his eyes, concentrating. "We infiltrated a hegemony research facility. They were doing something to human prisoners, some kind of experiments. I remember being captured, being injected with something that burned like fire in my veins. Then everything went black." "The war," Sam said. "How did it end? Did we win?" Jake looked at him with confusion. "End? The war just started when I went under. We were pushing back the first hegemony raids, showing them that humans weren't easy prey." The silence that followed was heavy with bad news. Lisa finally spoke. "Jake, we've been losing for 50 years. The hegemony controls most of human space now. Earth's colonies are gone. We're fighting a defensive war just to survive." Jake stared at her in disbelief. "That's impossible. Humans don't give up. We adapt. We fight back." An alarm began blaring throughout the Aurora. Captain Ryan's voice crackled over the radio. "Emergency stations. We're picking up a distress signal from the Harmony colony. Pirate raiders are attacking civilian settlements." Sam checked his weapon. "Pirates working for the hegemony. Hit soft targets to keep us spread thin." Jake stood up from the medical table. "Take me with you." "You've been asleep for 50 years, Lisa protested. "You need medical evaluation, rest. People are dying." Jake's voice carried an authority that made everyone in the room pay attention. "I may not understand what's happened to me, but I know. My duty, those colonists need help." Act! Against her better judgment, Lisa found herself nodding. Something about Jake Morrison inspired confidence, even trust. Maybe it was the way he moved, like violence was just another tool he could use perfectly. Or maybe it was the look in his eyes, the same look she had seen in soldiers who had faced impossible odds and somehow survived, as they rushed back to the Aurora. Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that Jake Morrison's awakening was going to change everything. The galaxy had been in trouble for 50 years, locked in a war that humanity was slowly losing. But now something new had entered the equation. Something the hegemony had created but couldn't control. Jake Morrison was awake, and he was ready to fight. The shuttle dropped through Harmony Colony's atmosphere like a falling star. Through the viewport, Jake could see smoke rising from burning buildings. Explosions lit up the night sky as pirate ships bombarded the settlement below. 20 enemy fighters, reported Sam Davis from the pilot's seat. "Our ship has maybe enough firepower to handle 3 or 4. Then we make those shots count," Jake said. His voice was calm, but Lisa noticed his hands were steady in a way that seemed unnatural. Most people would be shaking before their first. "Battle in 50 years, Captain Ryan's voice crackled over the radio. "Aurora, to shuttle team. We're engaging the pirate flagship. You handle the ground forces threatening the civilians." The shuttle shook as enemy fire struck their shields. Sam cursed and dove toward the colony's landing pad, weaving between laser blasts. Jake unbuckled his harness and moved to the weapons locker. "Those are military-grade weapons," Lisa warned. "You've been asleep for decades. Maybe you should let..." Sam handled the fighting. Jake pulled on tactical gear that fit him perfectly, despite 50 years of changes in military equipment. "My body remembers. I can feel it." They landed hard on the colony's main platform. Through the shuttle's cameras, they could see pirates herding civilians into the central square. The raiders wore mismatched armor and carried stolen human weapons. Their leader, a scarred man with cybernetic arms, was shouting orders in broken English. "Hegemony pays good money for human slaves," the pirate captain yelled. "Round 'em up. Quick before the military shows up." Jake opened the shuttle door and stepped into the chaos. The moment his feet touched the ground, something changed in him. His posture shifted, becoming predatory. His movements flowed like water, precise and deadly. "Hey!" the nearest pirate called out, raising his rifle. "We got company." "Itch!" Jake moved, faster than Lisa's eyes could follow. One moment he was 10 feet away from the pirate, the next he was behind the man, snapping his neck with a quick twist. The rifle clattered to the ground unused. 3 more pirates turned their weapons on Jake. He rolled behind a cargo container as laser. Bolts scorched the air where he had been standing. Lisa watched in amazement as Jake picked up a piece of metal, debris, and threw it with incredible force. The improvised projectile punched through one pirate's chest armor like it was paper. "What the hell is he?" Sam whispered. Jake vaulted over the container and landed among the remaining pirates. His fists moved like hammers, each punch dropping an enemy. One pirate managed to fire his weapon at point-blank range. The energy bolt should have killed Jake instantly. Instead, he caught the blast on his forearm, his skin glowing briefly where the energy struck him. The heat that should have melted flesh only left a red mark that faded within seconds. The pirate stared in horror. "You're not human." "I'm more human than you'll ever be," Jake replied, knocked the man unconscious with a single blow. In less than 2 minutes, Jake had eliminated 8 armed pirates without using a single weapon. The civilians huddled in the square stared at him with a mixture of fear and gratitude. The children, an elderly woman, pointed toward a burning building. "Some of the kids are trapped in the school." Jake ran toward the structure without hesitation. The building's entrance was blocked by fallen beams that would have required heavy machinery to move. Jake grabbed the largest beam with both hands and lifted it aside as if it weighed nothing. "That beam weighs at least 2 tons, Pete muttered. Checking his scanner readings, inside the burning school, Jake found 6 children hiding under a collapsed desk. Smoke filled the room, and flames were spreading along the walls. Any normal person would have been overcome by the toxic fumes. Jake seemed unaffected. He gathered all 6 children in his arms and carried them to safety in a single trip. Their combined weight should have been too much for one person to handle. But Jake moved as easily as if he were carrying empty boxes. The last of the pirate ships fled as the Aurora drove them off. Captain Ryan landed his ship near the colony and came to check on the rescue team. He found Jake sitting quietly while Dr. Carter ran medical scans on him. "His cellular structure is completely different," she told Ryan. "His muscle density is 3 times normal. His nervous system processes information faster than any human I've ever seen. And his body temperature runs hot enough to kill most people." "The injections?" Jake said quietly. "Whatever the hegemony did to me on that research station, it changed me at a fundamental level." Ryan studied the after-action reports. "You eliminated 23 armed pirates in under 5 minutes? You lifted debris that should have crushed you. You walked through fire that would have killed anyone else." "I remember more now," Jake said. "There were other humans in that facility. They injected all of us with something that glowed like liquid. Starlight. The others died screaming. Our bodies couldn't handle the changes. I was the only one who survived, and barely." Lisa's scanner beeped with new readings. "Jake, your cellular activity is increasing. Whatever happened to you, it's still happening. The process isn't finished." Across the galaxy, Admiral Zaravek studied intelligence reports from the Harmony colony raid. The footage showed a human performing impossible feats of strength and speed. Her scaled hands gripped the datapad tightly as she recognized the description. "Project Nightfall," she hissed. After 50 years, one of them finally survived the process. Her aide, a 4-armed creature with compound eyes, chittered nervously. "Admiral, our scientists said the human subjects all died. The enhancement process was deemed a failure. Then our scientists were wrong." Zara turned to face the bridge of her flagship. "This human represents everything we feared about their species. Enhanced strength, enhanced speed, enhanced durability. If they learned to replicate what we did to him, they could turn the tide of this war." She activated the ship's communication system. "All fleet commanders, priority alpha message. A human designated Jake Morrison has survived Project Nightfall enhancement. He is to be captured alive at all costs. This supersedes all other mission objectives." Zara studied the tactical display showing human space. "Begin full mobilization. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. We cannot allow the humans to study this subject. If they unlock the secrets of enhancement technology, our 50 years of victories will mean nothing." On Harmony Colony, Jake felt a strange tingling in his spine. Memories that weren't his own flickered through his mind. Images of alien laboratories, screaming test subjects, and something vast and ancient hidden beneath layers of scientific research. "Dr. Carter," he said suddenly. "Whatever the hegemony did to me, it wasn't their technology. They found something else. something old. They were trying to understand it by testing it on humans. Lisa looked up from her readings. What kind of something? Jake closed his eyes, reaching for memories buried deep in his altered mind. I don't know yet. But whatever it is, the hegemony is afraid of it. And now they're going to be afraid of me. The Aurora lifted off from Harmony Colony, carrying Jake back toward human space. Behind them, hegemony fleets were already moving, converging on their location with overwhelming force. The hunt for Jake Morrison had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Jake woke up screaming. The nightmares were getting worse every night. In his dreams, he saw through the eyes of other test subjects as alien scientists injected them with glowing liquid. He felt their pain as their bodies tried to adapt to the foreign substance. He watched them die one by one, until only he remained. Dr. Carter rushed to his bedside in the Aurora's medical bay. Another nightmare? They're not nightmares, Jake said, wiping sweat from his forehead. They're memories, but not mine. I'm remembering what happened to the others in that lab. Lisa ran her scanner over Jake's vitals. His body temperature had spiked again, and his brain activity showed patterns she had never seen before. Jake, whatever they did to you is still changing you. Your cellular structure is evolving at an incredible rate. Captain Ryan entered the medical bay with urgent news. We've got problems. Long-range sensors are picking up a massive hegemony fleet moving in our direction. At least 200 ships led by Admiral Zara Vex herself. They're coming for me, Jake said. He stood up from the medical bed, and Lisa noticed how fluid his movements had become. Every gesture was precise, economical, like his body had been designed for maximum efficiency. We can't outrun that many ships, Ryan said. Right. Aurora is a research vessel, not a warship. Jake walked to the observation window and stared out at the stars. Then we don't run. We find out what they're so afraid of. Dr. Nora Blake, the ship's xenobiologist, joined them with a datapad full of research. I've been analyzing the samples from Jake's blood. What I found is impossible, according to everything we know about biology. She activated a holographic display showing microscopic organisms swimming through Jake's bloodstream. These aren't viruses or bacteria. They're machines. Incredibly small machines that are repairing and improving his body at the cellular level. Nanotechnology, Pete Wilson said, but more advanced than anything humans have ever built. That's not the strangest part, Nora continued. I compared these nanomachines to fragments we've recovered from ancient ruins across the galaxy. The technology signature is identical. Jake is carrying tech that's millions of years old. Jake turned from the window. The ancients. My nightmares. I hear the alien scientists talking about something they found. Ruins on a dead world. Technology they barely understood. The hegemony has been reverse engineering ancient technology for decades, Ryan said. That's how they got such an advantage over human forces. But they never managed to make it work on living beings, till they tested it on humans, Lisa said quietly. Our biology must be compatible with ancient nanotechnology in ways that alien physiology isn't. Jake felt a strange tingling in his skull. New memories were surfacing, but these weren't from the laboratory. These were older, much older. Images of vast cities that spanned entire continents. Beings of pure energy moving through space without ships, technology that seemed like magic. The ancients didn't disappear, he said suddenly. They evolved. They became something beyond physical form. An alarm began blaring throughout the ship. The hegemony fleet had found them. Admiral Vex is broadcasting on all frequencies, the communications officer reported. She's demanding we surrender, Jake. Morrison immediately. Ryan activated the main screen. Admiral Zara Vex appeared, her reptilian features twisted with anger and fear. Behind her stood rows of alien officers from a dozen different species. Humans, she hissed. You have something that belongs to us. The enhanced subject was created. Using hegemony technology, turn him now, and we might allow the rest of you to live. Jake stepped forward so Vex could see him clearly. You mean the technology you stole from ruins you didn't understand? Same technology that killed every one of your test subjects? Vex's eyes widened. You remember impossible? The trauma should have wiped your memory completely. I remember everything, Jake lied. The truth was that new memories were still emerging, but he could see that his confidence was shaking her. I remember your scientists scrambling to understand what they had found. I remember them being terrified of what they were unleashing. Ancient enhancement was a failure, Vex snapped. Should have died like all the others, but I didn't die. Now, you're afraid of what I might become. The hegemony fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced through space toward the Aurora. But Captain Ryan had been preparing for this moment. The research ship's engines roared to life, pushing them toward a nearby asteroid field. They won't use their heaviest weapons, Ryan said as he maneuvered between massive rocks. They want Jake alive. Jake closed his eyes and reached deeper. Into the memories flowing through his mind, he saw ancient laboratories where beings of incredible intelligence worked to perfect their final gift to the galaxy. The nanotechnology wasn't just an enhancement. It was a test. They're not trying to capture me, he said suddenly. They're trying to stop me from completing the transformation.
What transformation?
Police asked. Before Jake could answer, the ship shook as hegemony fighters swarmed around them. Their weapons were different now, designed to disrupt rather than destroy. Purple energy washed over the Aurora's hull, and Jake collapsed to his knees in agony. Anti-nanot weapons, he gasped. They built weapons specifically to hurt me. The pain was incredible, like fire burning through his veins. But even as the alien weapons disrupted the nanomachines in his system, he could feel them adapting. Each attack made them stronger, more resistant to interference. Jake, your cellular structure is changing again, Lisa said, reading her scanner with amazement. The nanomachines are learning to defend themselves. Jake struggled to his feet as another wave of antinat energy washed over the ship.
This
time, the pain was less severe. His body was adapting faster than the hegemony could adjust their weapons. They made a mistake, he said. Every time they attack me, they teach the nanomachines how to survive. They're making me stronger. Through the ship's speakers, they could hear Admiral Vex screaming orders at her fleet. Increase power to maximum. We must stop the adaptation. Process before it completes. But it was too late. Jake's body had already learned to resist their weapons. As the hegemony ships closed in for another attack, he felt something new awakening in his mind. The nanomachines weren't just changing his body anymore. They were changing his consciousness, connecting him to something vast and ancient that spanned the entire galaxy. For the first time since his awakening, Jake smiled. The hegemony thought they were hunting him. They had no idea that they were. About to face something far more dangerous than an enhanced human soldier. They were about to meet the inheritor of ancient technology, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Aurora shuddered as another barrage of anti-nanite weapons struck its hull. Jake gritted his teeth against the pain, but noticed something important. The agony that had dropped him to his knees an hour ago now felt like nothing more than a mild headache. His body was learning to ignore the hegemony's best weapons. They're getting desperate, Captain Ryan said, watching the tactical display. Vex is throwing everything she has at us. Through the main screen, they could see Admiral Vex's flagship moving closer. The massive vessel bristled with weapons designed to capture rather than kill. Tractor beams reached out like grasping fingers, trying to lock onto the Aurora. Jake felt a new presence in his mind. The nanomachines were connecting him to something vast and ancient. Images flashed through his consciousness, star maps showing the locations of ancient ruins across the galaxy. Technological blueprints that hurt to look at, and memories of beings who had transcended physical existence millions of years ago. I can see them, he whispered. The ancient network, still active. Dr. Carter ran her scanner over Jake's brain activity. Neural patterns are off the charts. Whatever's happening to you is accelerating. Ship's communication system crackled to life. Commander Keth, a reptilian officer from Vex's fleet, appeared on the screen. His scaled face showed something Jake had never seen from a hegemony soldier before. Doubt. Human vessel, Keth said carefully. I am Commander Keth of the battle cruiser Vengeance. I wish to speak with the enhanced subject. It's a trap, Sam warned. But Jake stepped forward. Something in the alien commander's voice suggested otherwise. I'm listening. I was there 50 years ago when we first found the ancient ruins on Zarian Prime. I watched our scientists torture your people, trying to unlock secrets we didn't understand. I said nothing because I believed humans were a threat to galactic peace. Keth paused, his reptilian features showing an emotion Jake couldn't identify. Yesterday, I watched recordings of you saving alien civilians from pirates. You risked your life for beings you had never met, beings whose species has been at war with yours for decades. I begin to question everything I have believed. Admiral, Vex's voice cut across the channel. Commander Keth, return to formation immediately. We're not authorized to communicate with the enemy. The enemy? Keth's voice carried a bitter laugh. Which of us has spent 50 years enslaving innocent people? Which of us experiments on prisoners? Perhaps we have been looking at this war backwards. Jake felt the nanomachines in his system, responding to something. Through the ancient network, he could sense Keth's emotional turmoil. The commander was genuinely questioning his loyalty to the hegemony. Commander, Jake said, you want to know the truth about the ancient technology? Your people found ruins, but you never understood what you were looking at. The ancients didn't build weapons. They built a test. What kind of test? Keth asked. A test to see if younger races could evolve beyond war, beyond the fear that drives species to destroy each other. The nanomachines don't just enhance the body. They enhance empathy, understanding, the ability to see beyond tribal thinking. Vex appeared on the screen, her face twisted with rage. Lies. The enhancement technology is a weapons system. It creates super soldiers capable of conquering entire star systems. Then why did all your test subjects die? Jake challenged her. Why could only humans survive the process? Because humans are naturally violent, Vex snarled. Your species is compatible with ancient war technology because you understand destruction. Jake shook his head. You have it backwards. Humans survive because we're capable of growth. Can change, adapt, become something better than what we were. That's what the ancients were testing for. Aurora's sensors detected something alarming. More hegemony fleets were arriving, surrounding them completely. But these weren't just military vessels. They carried representatives from dozens of alien species, all united by their fear of human enhancement technology. You see? Vex broadcast to the gathered fleets. Enhanced human admits his species is evolving into something that will dominate the galaxy. We must act now before they spread this technology to their entire population. Jake felt the nanomachines reaching deeper into his consciousness. New memories surfaced. The final days of the ancient civilization, beings of pure energy. Making a difficult choice about the future of the galaxy? Dr. Carter, he said urgently, the nanomachines aren't just enhancing me. They're preparing me for something else. The ancients didn't disappear, evolved beyond physical form, but they left behind a gift. What kind of gift? Lisa asked. Ability for younger races to join them. But only if we can prove we've evolved beyond the need for war. Commander Keth's ship suddenly broke formation, moving away from the hegemony fleet. Admiral Vex, I cannot be part of this anymore. The human speaks truth. They've become the very thing we claim to fight against. Traitor, Vex screamed. All ships, open fire on the vengeance. Commander Keth has been compromised by human propaganda. But Keth's defection had an unexpected effect. Other ships in the fleet hesitated. Jake could sense their uncertainty through the ancient network. Soldiers who had been fighting humans for decades were beginning to question whether they were on the right side. The moment of doubt gave Jake an opening. He reached out through the nanomachine network, not to control or dominate, but to share. He projected his memories of the battle at Harmony Colony, showing alien observers how he had risked his life to save civilians of all species. Several more ships broke away from the hegemony formation, their commanders, influenced by Jake's shared experiences, could no longer bring themselves to fire on someone who had shown such selfless courage. Impossible, Vex whispered. The enhancement shouldn't work that way. You should be a weapon, not a diplomat. That's where you're wrong, Jake said. The ancients weren't warriors, they were teachers. And their final lesson is that evolution isn't about becoming stronger. It's about becoming better. But Jake's expanding consciousness came with a terrible price. Each time he used the ancient network, he could feel his human identity slipping away. The nano-machines were preparing him for a transformation that would make him something beyond human understanding. Dr. Carter watched her readings with growing alarm. "Jake, your brain patterns are becoming completely alien. If this process continues, you might not be human anymore." Jake looked at his hands, watching energy patterns flow beneath his skin. Maybe that's the point. Maybe becoming something more than human is the only way to save humanity. The hegemony fleet was dividing against itself. Ships that had fought together for decades were now pointing weapons at each other. Admiral Vex realized that her attempt to capture Jake had triggered exactly the kind of chaos she had hoped to prevent. But she had one final card to play. Deep in her flagship's armory sat a weapon built from the most dangerous ancient technology her scientists had ever discovered. Using it would likely destroy her own ship, but it would also eliminate Jake Morrison and everything he represented. As Vex's finger moved toward the activation switch, Jake felt the ancient network screaming a warning. The weapon she was about to use wouldn't just kill him, it would tear a hole in space itself, destroying everything within a light-year radius. The final battle was about to begin, and the fate of every living being in the galaxy hung in the balance. Admiral Vex's finger hovered over the activation switch for the ancient weapon. The device hummed with deadly energy, ready to tear a hole in space itself. Through the ancient network, Jake felt the weapon charging up like a star about to explode. "Everyone, get to the escape pods," Jake ordered the Aurora's crew. "That weapon will destroy everything in this system. We're not leaving you," Dr. Carter said firmly. Jake looked at her with eyes that no longer seemed completely human. Energy patterns danced beneath his skin, and his voice carried harmonics that hurt to hear. "Lisa, what I'm about to become, it won't be me anymore. The nanomachines are preparing me for the final transformation." "What transformation?" Captain Ryan demanded. "The same one the ancients went through millions of years ago. Evolution beyond physical form." Jake closed his eyes and reached deeper into the network than ever before. "But first I have to stop that weapon." On Vex's flagship, the Admiral watched her readings with growing excitement. Ancient Weapons System Alpha is at 90% charge. In 60 seconds, the enhanced human and his allies will be nothing but scattered atoms. Commander Keth's voice crackled over the radio from his ship. "Admiral, that weapon will kill millions of innocent people across this entire star system. How is that different from what you accuse humans of planning?" "Sacrifice is necessary for the greater good," Vex replied coldly. "The human enhancement technology represents an extinctional-level threat to all non-human life." But Jake was no longer listening to their argument. He had found what he was looking for in the ancient network: the shutdown codes for every piece of ancient technology in the galaxy. The nanomachines in his system weren't just enhancing him. They were giving him access to a control system that spanned millions of worlds. The price for using that access would be his humanity. Jake could feel his consciousness expanding, becoming something vast and alien. His memories of Earth, of being human, were fading like old photographs left in sunlight. "I understand now," he whispered. The ancients didn't abandon the galaxy. They became its guardians, watching from beyond physical existence. And now they need a new guardian. Dr. Carter's scanner showed readings that should have been impossible. Jake's brain patterns were becoming pure energy, no longer bound by biological limitations. "Jake, you're dying. Your human consciousness can't handle this level of transformation." "I'm not dying," Jake said peacefully. "I'm becoming what I was always meant to be." Admiral Vex's weapon reached full charge. She smiled with triumph as her finger pressed the activation switch. Fire. Nothing happened. Jake opened his eyes, and they blazed with the light of ancient stars. Through the network, he had reached into Vex's flagship and shut down every ancient-derived system on board. The massive weapon powered down harmlessly, its energy dissipating into space. "Impossible," Vex gasped. "The weapon systems are completely offline." Across the galaxy, Jake's consciousness touched every piece of ancient technology. Gemini ships lost power as their enhanced engines shut down. Ancient weapons that had given the alien coalition their advantage over humanity simply stopped working. But the shutdown wasn't limited to military applications. Jake reached deeper, accessing the fundamental systems that the ancients had left throughout the galaxy. He could feel the network that connected every star system, every world, every living being. The transformation was accelerating. Jake's physical body began to dissolve into pure energy, but his consciousness expanded to encompass the entire galactic network. He could see every planet, feel every living mind, understand the connections that bound all life together. "Jake!" Lisa called out desperately. "Don't let go of who you are." Her voice reached him across the vast distances his mind now spanned. For a moment, Jake remembered being human, the taste of Earth's air, the warmth of friendship, the simple joy of helping others. Those memories became an anchor, keeping some part of his humanity intact, even as he became something far greater. "Commander?" Keth watched in amazement as Jake's energy form appeared on his ship's bridge. The being that had once been Jake Morrison was now composed of living light, beautiful, and terrible at the same time. "Commander?" Jake's voice came from everywhere at once. "Your people have spent 50 years fighting a war based on fear, but fear is just the absence of understanding." Jake reached out through the network and touched Keth's mind, sharing not just memories, but emotions. The reptilian commander experienced Jake's genuine desire to protect all life, regardless of species. He felt the human's willingness to sacrifice everything for peace. Tears ran down Keth's scaled face. "I understand. We were wrong about your species. We were wrong about everything." Across the galaxy, Jake's message spread through the ancient network to every intelligent mind. Humans and aliens alike experienced his memories of the war, seeing it from all perspectives. They felt his pain at the senseless violence, his hope for a better future, and his love for all living beings. Admiral Vex's flagship drifted powerless in space. Her weapons were gone, her engines dead, her dreams of conquest reduced to nothing. But Jake's consciousness reached even her, offering understanding instead of punishment. "You were afraid," his voice whispered in her mind, "afraid that humans would do to others what had been done to you. But fear creates the very monsters we think we're fighting." For the first time in decades, Vex felt something other than hatred. She understood that her crusade against humanity had been born from the same tribal thinking that had caused countless wars throughout galactic history. Jake's transformation was nearly complete. His consciousness now spanned the entire ancient network, making him the guardian of galactic peace the ancients had always intended to create. But he used his final moments of individual thought to send one last message to Dr. Carter and the crew of the Aurora. "Tell them," his fading voice reached across space. "Tell both sides that evolution isn't about becoming stronger. It's about becoming kinder. The galaxy doesn't need super soldiers or advanced weapons. It needs beings willing to see past their differences." Jake Morrison's human form dissolved completely, becoming one with the ancient network that connected all life in the galaxy. But his influence remained. Ships that had been firing on each other moments before now stood down. Ancient weapons across known space powered down permanently. The technology that had driven 50 years of war simply stopped working. In the silence that followed, Commander Keth opened a channel to all ships in the area. "This is Commander Keth to all hegemony forces. I hereby call for an immediate ceasefire. The human Jake Morrison has shown us what we could become if we choose understanding over fear." Admiral Vex's voice crackled weakly over the radio. "All ships stand down. The war is over." Dr. Carter stood on the Aurora's bridge, watching the energy patterns that had once been Jake Morrison fade into the cosmic background. The galaxy was no longer in trouble from an enhanced human soldier. It was finally ready to heal from the wounds of a pointless war. Jake had kept his promise, had saved the galaxy, not through superior firepower, but by showing every living being that they were capable of something better than endless conflict. His sacrifice became the foundation for a new era of peace among the stars.